Chug-a-lug, chug-a-lug. Make you want to holler, hidey-ho. Burns your tummy, don't you know? Chug-a-lug, chug-a-lug.
All right, this is SFBarkast. I am Jeff Cleary.
I am Andrew Louder.
Andrew, where are we today?
We're at the Mad Dog in the Fog.
We're here on a Saturday afternoon, so it's a little
lively.
Not like we're used to. Like most of the bars we go to, we're there, and it's like empty. It's like you, me, and like a couple of barflies.
Right, exactly.
Oh, wait a minute, is that redundant?
We're sort of like we're usually like lying against the door when they open it, and we sort of fall and go
oh, there's a bar here? I didn't even know.
Right. The Mad Dog in the Fog, which is on Haight Street in Fillmore.
The famous Lower Haight district.
The world famous. Much different to the tourist or non-city resident listening. Lower Haight is down the hill from the Upper Haight, which makes sense.
Wait, slow down.
But it's really a different vibe to it than the Upper Haight.
Absolutely, yeah. Actually, this is the first neighborhood I went to when I came to San Francisco for the first time. And let me tell you, like, Lower Haight always had this reputation as being the sort of like tough, like the more crime-ridden side of the Haight.
Yeah.
Because if you go up the hill and you want to go see like Jerry Garcia's house or see where like Jimi Hendrix puked,
right,
that's all in the Upper Haight.
Right.
And down here, it was always kind of sketch.
It was. It's definitely gentrified, like, all to hell.
Definitely totally different now.
Because if you go listen to, like, old Patton Oswalt or something, like, he talks about living, like, on Haight and, like, Laguna or something, and it being, like, the corner of, like, Stab Whitey and Kill Whitey or something like that. It's like,
Patton.
That couldn't be further from the truth now.
Oh, yeah. Well, there was, a long time ago, there was this really bad housing project over there. And I don't say that, like, I mean, like, it looked horrible.
Right.
It looked like a fucking war zone, and it had, like, this courtyard, and they basically, like, plowed it, tore the whole thing down, and built, like, a really nice housing project there.
Oh,
and you can kind of tell the difference in the neighborhood.
And they remodeled the Safeway a long time ago as well, I think.
They have a Safeway. Oh, they have a Whole Foods, like, not too far from here as well.
Oh, do they now? Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Like Dolores and Market.
Wow.
But we talk a lot about how bars have changed hands and, like, some bars are gone but not forgotten.
Yeah.
Mad Dog in the Fog was here the first day I rolled into San Francisco and is still here now.
It's funny because, I mean, it's great that it's still here. It definitely looks a lot different than it used to. Like,
looks a lot different than
back
it used to?
back in the 90s, I guess. I mean, they must have remodeled this place when, like, late 2000s. Like, maybe 5-6 years ago.
I know what you're talking about now.
And, like, it used to be very sort of Irish traditional. It had, like, sort of like one of those front areas where, like, the pool table was, like, almost like a separate room, but you sort of had to walk through that to get into the bar, and it was dark and, like, it sort of smelled a little bit. I mean, like, and now it's a respectable, borderline Chili's almost.
And this is the thing, like, it is a very Euro bar for San Francisco. Like, you can come here and watch English Premier League soccer games.
Yeah, and this place, like, during the World Cup, this place is, you can't even get out. I mean, there's people hanging outside in the street.
Dude, what they do is they charge like $20 to get in, and the place is packed.
Right.
And you have to be here at like 5 or like 4:30 in the morning, or depending on where it is, right?
Right.
But it's like, and then they pull the curtain down out front, so like nobody can see the game.
That was a big dick move. I remember they did that, and I don't remember them doing that for the last one because it was like free essentially. Like, but there was like I think it was like the 2004 Euro Championships or something like that, and like even the bars had to pay some ridiculous like $1,000 to put it on TV. It was some huge scam, and so they had to like they wanted to charge everybody like $30 to get in, and they like blacked out all the windows so you couldn't like watch from the street.
There's like a handful of places, and they're mostly on Haight Street, where like it's very like they take their soccer very, very seriously.
Yeah,
I know like Kezar on Stanyon, they do that. They even show like Gaelic football, which is weird. It's like some Irish guy running around with a stick,
caber tossing or whatever that's called.
And Martin Max, which is on Haight Street.
Oh, yeah.
Danny Coyles on Haight Street. They all have, like, the whatever Euro's like. You like rugby? Come on in. We'll play the fucking rugby game.
Find it. We got a satellite dish.
But this place, yeah, you're right. It definitely did change with the remodel.
Yeah.
But there are some things that have like always been. Like they have a very classic trivia night.
They do.
Here and run by, I believe, the same guy, Peter.
Mix something?
O'Flanner or something.
Peter's very Irish. That's why I say that.
Right.
He's got a thick Irish accent. Who knows? Maybe, I haven't seen him for a long time, so maybe he's lost some of it. But when we first started coming here for trivia in 96, 97,
we had
like
a trivia team.
We had a trivia team.
Do you remember what it was called?
I thought that wouldn't the name change every week, or
well, the first 3 times, we said we would retire it if we won it 3 times in a row. And the first 2 times we came to trivia, we won.
Right.
And we were just like, this is easy.
This is going to be our job.
And our name that we were going to retire was Thunderpants.
Ah, I recall that now.
And then I think it almost sounds like one of those like Vegas stories. Like the first 3 times I came,
right.
We did great. Well, and then we never won again.
It's like they saw us come in. They're like, "Oh, we got some first-timers. Let's give them a taste and get them addicted."
Yeah, exactly. This one's going to be free, but he's.
But yeah, then I think every time after that we got hosed by some team of Stanford assholes or something like that.
Yeah, it's weird about trivia because it is sort of like it's its own sort of little culture there.
Yeah.
And I would often say this about trivia. Like, if you're going to win at a trivia night, you have to kind of know whoever's running the trivia night.
Oh, and sort of know what their picadillos are or whatever.
Right. Like with Peter, it's really good if you have somebody who knows about music in England.
Right.
He plays a lot of or
obscure British soap opera actors or something.
Yeah. It's like
oh, that guy was on Crummington Street. It's like
I remember he does this music round, and one of the songs was "Living in a Box" by the band
Living in a Box.
Living in a Box. And of course, I didn't get it, but if you were somebody who was obsessed with British music in the '80s, you'd be like, yes, that's Feargal Sharkey. Of course,
it's wet, 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 you idiots.
Right.
But have none of you heard of the starting lineup of the 2001 Manchester United Red Devils?
Right, and also on the other side, if you go to a trivia night where the guy is into sports, you got to bring somebody who's into sports.
Right. That can sort of be a you get into this insider trading sort of thing because I remember was it one of the bars in the Richmond
Bitter End. I know exactly what you're going to say.
Yeah, and and there you had a questionable ethics going on where you would have a team that would win just about every week. And they were the guy that was running it. They were his roommate, and so they would they would hear him putting together all of the mixtapes for the music segment, and plus it's from his music collection that I assume they would look at every day.
It's his roommates and his friends were winning every week, and I got really really mad at them after one time we lost. And I went over and I told them I was like, this is all bullshit. You are sullying the name of trivia by even doing it. I was like, your friends over here are winning. One week, the guy who did the music round, he was on a team that won. You came up with a question here.
Right. This couldn't be more rigged.
Yeah. So I really made a stink about that. That's one of the few times where I just was like.
Well, NATO Green goes up and argues about rent control and stuff like that, and you're here to keep the trivia fair.
We all have our independent crusades that we like to have, and if keeping trivia,
if you're prepared to fight and die for trivial integrity in the city of San Francisco, we never have to worry about it being a problem.
I was basically the Rob Morrow character in Quiz Show, trying to let everybody know that everything's rigged.
You're like Kevin Costner in JFK, where it's your whole marriage is falling apart. It's sometimes I think you care more about San Francisco trivia than our marriage.
I've been asleep too long, honey. So what else about this bar that you?
Well, I mean, it's certainly. Apart from the English soccer and any soccer, pretty much that they'll show at 3 a.m. or whatever. It's also obviously a big Giants bar. We walked in here. The college basketball championship the Final Four has just started, and there's probably like one television that's
No,
showing
you know what? They put it on a second television.
Ooh.
There's probably I'm thinking maybe like maybe like 10 or 12 TV sets
Yeah,
in
at least.
there.
Real good sized. I mean, like, yeah,
And-
it's a decent sports bar for sure.
Like 8 of them are on the Giants game. One's on some bizarre soccer thing. One's on a horse race.
This is like a this is like a betting lounge where it's
something
like they only put on sports that people have wagers on.
Yeah, I wonder like why they do that, because it's like, I've been to like other bars. They started doing this over at the 500 Club,
Right.
where they'll have one TV on like some like off-track betting thing, and like nobody's there watching it. Maybe it reminds people of, I don't know, being OTB or like, when I was in New Zealand, like there's always people placing bets in bars on horse racing. And so maybe it's the same way in England as well.
God,
or
maybe.
Ireland.
Like that does seem weird though. I mean, because like you would think that if they don't have some sort of like service to take bets, like there's no point in watching a horse race just for the thrill of it. Like unless maybe they in the glorious internet age, maybe they have like a couple regulars here that gamble like offshore or something.
Nobody's watching it. Nobody's watching that one television. So I think it's only there for like atmosphere. Like, doesn't this kind of remind you of your old man sitting on the side of a bar, chewing a cigar, reading the fucking racing form and not paying attention to his son?
You can almost smell the old man smell and like dried urine.
Right. So it's like I said, it's only here for atmosphere. And actually, you know what? They started putting the basketball game on a couple other TVs. So behind you, we have the Yukon. But
not quite the emergency we thought then.
But so the baseball season has started, and I feel like this is that sort of honeymoon period that every team has.
Right. Everyone's like, oh, how exciting, baseball's back.
Right. Or like, even if your team sucks.
Right.
This is that period where you're like, hey, anything could happen, right?
Half a game out of first.
How do you like my Astros jersey? But like everybody's totally into the Giants game now. And with good reason. The Giants are doing well, and they're playing the Dodgers, so that's a huge rivalry.
No sign of the Oakland A's game on here, so they must have pretty strong loyalties there.
You know what? I live in San Francisco, and I'm an A's fan. And every once in a while, I have to like ask them to put the A's game on.
It's like pulling teeth?
Yeah, exactly. Well, most of the time, it's like pulling teeth, especially if there's a Giants game on.
Right.
Which I guess makes sense. I'm in San Francisco. But every once in a while, I'll ask, and there's a lot of people in the service industry in San Francisco who live in Oakland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they go, hell yeah, I didn't even know there was a game on. And that's kind of...
They're big Oakland A's fans then.
Well, you think the service industry are one of those industries that is getting squeezed out by the really high rents.
Yeah.
So like a lot of people go to the East Bay.
Right.
Speaking of being squeezed out by rents, we're going to have a guest on a little later in the show.
Yeah, don't spoil it. He's a good get.
He's a good get, and yeah, we're not going to spoil.
He's in the news. He's all over the news, actually.
Well, let me just say, there's been a lot of like talk in San Francisco about the clash between techies,
right,
and like normal people, like normal San Franciscans, because there's a lot of people making a lot of money coming into town, and they're young assholes,
right,
and they're driving up the rents. And he actually is going to be the counterpoint, because he is one of those techies. And he's
so what do you say the odds are that he shows up now? 50-50? We have to like backpedal for the last two segments. Like, we thought he was going to be here. Well, it's funny you mention that, because one of the Twitter feeds that I subscribe to is like NBC News Bay Area or whatever like that. It's just a regular news feed or whatever like that, and you get just like, hey, guy shot here, whatever, And there were two. Fantastic. There were two tweets that came back to back like 2 days ago that I think perfectly like sort of tell the whole story about the Oakland A's versus like San Francisco Giants. Because like the first tweet said like upgrades to O.Co Coliseum include new paint, remodeled dugouts, and fixed up lockers. So
fixed up what?
Fixed up lockers. So two things you're never going to see is like the dugout and the lockers. So those are just for the players.
Right.
And then the other thing is like new paint. And that could be anywhere. And, like, the whole thing's concrete anyway. They don't need to paint anything.
Right.
And so 2 seconds after that was another one that said, Giants fans can pick their own basil, mushrooms, etc. at AT&T Park's edible garden to put on their pizza. so basically you just have this one saying, like, yep, like O.Co Coliseum is still like a dirty parking garage that smells like, fucking piss and peanut shells. But, like, here, we're going to wipe your ass over at
in
AT&T
San Francisco,
Park.
They have, like, Alice Waters, like, serving her slow food revolution and growing it out in, like, left field or something. It's just like
Thomas Keller handing out artisan toilet paper to people in the bathroom.
Although I did hear that at the Coliseum, they upgraded their food menu.
Oh,
so, like,
okay.
I had season tickets last year,
Yeah.
and I had to, like, basically live off of Philly cheesesteaks and, like, some type of, like, really bad barbecue that they have in the corner. Other than that, like, you do. If anyone's listening and they're going to a baseball game, you do not eat those hot dogs. Okay? Some people think, like, oh, it's a Fenway Frank. It's like my dad bought it for me. Yeah, it's poison. Do not eat it. Okay? But and also, this is the thing that, like, we've been talking about. I've been talking about a lot. The Oakland A's need a new park. And it's like when you go to the Coliseum, it's a fucking dump.
Yeah,
and,
no question.
And it's like one of the last, like, multi-use stadiums in baseball.
Right. Well, it's just the idea of putting. So you basically, the only reason they put that stadium there was, like, sort of, probably to go along with the BART station that went there, or whatever. And it's just like, it's like putting a baseball stadium in the middle of a freeway in the middle of nowhere. It's just,
dude, you have to walk.
There's nothing around it.
There's, like, this pedestrian walkway, and you have to walk over, like, a cement company. Because you know
an Amtrak station.
You know all those great, like, memories you have when your dad is taking you to a baseball game and you're walking over the cement company.
You have to walk through the quarry into the to go watch America's Pastime being played in a parking garage.
And you're wondering, maybe I could work there when I'm older.
But and the crazy thing is that the entire Bay Area like rests on so much coastland, and there's even a bunch of useless coastland that they don't even use any. The south of the of all of the container shipyards and everything like that. It's just wasted, and they put a baseball stadium.
This is like a no-brainer for me as, like, an A's fan. Is that, like, you have to build, like, a ballpark, a small ballpark,
right?
In, like, not too far from Jack London Square.
Yeah.
And then you will revitalize that entire neighborhood.
Of course.
If anyone who lived in San Francisco saw what happened to China Basin when the ballpark went in there, everything just exploded. And it's just, like, up, like, all these condos went in and all these, everything got down by where the stadium is now in San Francisco. It used to be just, like, abandoned warehouses.
Right.
And now it's like a tourist destination. So you have to do that if you're Oakland.
Well, I feel like they did. Jack London Square did that anyway, but then there was no ballpark to draw anybody there. So it's just it's like all of this new development surrounded by nothing to draw people there.
I don't want to hear any more excuses out of, like, people from Oakland because like they're like, oh, we tried that and no one went. No, you didn't put a ballpark in there. You put put up a plaque where, like, Jack London used to drink here.
All right, let's take a break.
Oh yeah, let's take a break, and we'll be back from Mad Dog in the Fog.
Heads on the corner, I like a sauna. I know I heard her when I tell her that I want her. I'm on this drama, I act like Jeffrey Dahmer. I beat her and I eat her, make her say there's no one sweeter. I think I lost my tweeter, until you burst your cats. Do you cool your pistol gas? Don't see the love way, don't let it run away. Don't see the love way, don't let it. You're dreaming of seeing a big girl like Monica. Every day be like Hanukkah. And to use my mind again, high fly to find a friend. I call enemy, she says I like this, telling me a schizophrenic clone, a dog without a home. Heard you on war when I was on tour. I told you should run a lot, now look how much time you got. Told you should run a lot, now look how much time you got.
And we are back at Mad Dog in the Fog.
Indeed, the Mad Dog in the Fog. I'm sure you can probably just get away with calling it the Mad Dog.
Mad Dog,
as most people do, but
it is like
I like the name. It's a cool name.
If you're going to name a bar,
yeah,
generally you don't want to have it called, like, The Incredible Love Life of Evelyn Lee, or
But I think that British pubs sort of, British and/or Irish pubs, they sort of get grandfathered out of that. They don't, like if it's a new hipster stupid name like Evelyn Lee or whatever. What was it? What was it I called it? The everlasting beard of Dr. McGillicuddy or whatever. Like that's all terrible. But like, but I think like when you get into like the Rat and Raven or the Mad Dog in the Fog or the Pig and Whistle, or, like you have this long tradition of like British bar names where it's just basically like a animal and a thing. It's like the
it's like
Dog in the Gold Tooth, or like
it sounds like some morning DJ troupe,
right.
Or it's like
okay.
you're here with a pig and the whistle.
Did you see that? Because you remember on that show, the Adam Carolla, Jimmy Kimmel, like Crank Yankers show. They used to have two characters on there called like Boomer and the Nudge. Were like morning DJs, and now like Boomer Esiason has like a show with like Mike Francesa in New York or something called like Boomer and Mike, so it's like reality imitating art or whatever.
Did you see that Boomer Esiason had to apologize recently
for just everything or just anything in
People
particular?
don't know Boomer Esiason used to be an NFL quarterback,
right?
And now he has his own sports radio show out of New York, so it's classy, right? And I guess there was a player for the Tampa Bay
Buccaneers.
Rays.
Oh, okay.
They used to be called the Devil Rays, but now they're just called the Rays. They got rid of the devil.
Famous Rays?
Yeah, the Tampa Bay Famous Rays original pizza.
That'd be great.
So there's a player on there who took in the players agreement with a collective bargaining agreement. You are allowed 3 days of paternity leave if your wife is delivering.
Yeah.
And so this guy took all 3 days, and I guess it's not that common.
This guy plays for the Mets, though, right? I thought it was the.
Oh, is it the Mets?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I thought it was the Devil Rays.
Because it was Francesa was one of the guys like saying that too.
Well, Boomer Esiason said like not a whole lot of people take the full 3 days, but this guy did, and it's the beginning of the baseball season,
right? And
like none of these games really matter, and Boomer Esiason starts mouthing off about how if she was like really that close to delivering, they could have had a C-section before the season started.
I was like,
what a fucking...
I don't know what your relationship with your wife is, but like, I'm pretty sure that like if I say like, hey, that baseball thing I play, like 162 games a year, where basically I sit on my ass and like chew tobacco for most of it. I'm afraid that I'm going to miss one or two of those games, so I'd like you to cut your stomach open for the baby.
Right, exactly. Honey, I got to go work, right? So why don't you let a friend of mine that cut you open?
Well, and Mike Francesa or whatever like that. I saw a clip of him saying basically the same kind of stuff, and like he was saying, what are you going to do? Like, you just go home, you go and you watch her give birth. What do you do after that? She doesn't want you around. It's like, well, maybe nobody wants you around because you're a fucking blowhard sportscaster, but like.
I can just imagine, like, Mike Francesa's kid who fucking hates his father, like, listening to that and going, yeah, you could have been nicer when you were younger. You could have, like, maybe bonding has something to do with the father-son relationship, you asshole.
Or him coming by the hospital and being like, hey, baby, you pushed that kid out or what? Oh, you did? Fantastic. I got to get back. Bobby Bonilla is being traded.
Right, exactly. I got to get back. I'm going to do an interview with Louis Carnesecca.
Louis Carnesecca never would have taken a day off for his baby being born.
Jesus Christ. So, like, we don't have, like, an asshole of the week segment on the show.
Right.
But if we did, it would go to those two jackasses.
Well, speaking of stupid clowns.
So at Mad Dog in the Fog, they have a large beer list.
And a large pot smell, by the way, that just, like, whoever walked by us, like, it's just, I've been in dispensaries that smelled, like, less like pot than it does in here right now.
I know, it's like, what the hell? Like, I know I know exactly who it was. Like, these two girls, like, got up from the booth right next to us.
Right.
And then just like immediately this enormous like pot smell. They're like, she's like, one of them's like Pigpen for pot.
I was like, well, can't you wait until you like go out front like to light up? I mean, like it's like they lit up and then like started walking back. There's also there's a back patio here, so I think that like People may use that for nefarious reasons.
Maybe that's true. Maybe there was like a waft of like pot coming from out back.
Like a sudden gust of wind from the west that choked us with sour diesel.
Also, we should sour diesel. So we should also point out that they do have a back patio here because a lot of like people want to know where they can go and sit in the sun and smoke pot, I guess.
Or vape or whatever the kids do.
All right, so they have a huge beer list here. They've got a lot of beers. I'm looking probably maybe 20 beers on tap. And then they just have an enormous like beer list as far as bottled beer.
They have like a big giant, almost like you would find in a really good beer store, like a big giant refrigerator full of bottled beers.
So when we first got here, I just looked at the beer list, and the first thing I saw was something called Clown Shoes Happy Feet IPA. And I'm like,
and he said, it's like, this is made for me.
Right. It's like, how do I not order a Clown Shoes beer?
How do I not order a beer that makes me think of a sad clown whose feet are too big?
Clowns have really like taken a hit in the last few years, or the last like 2 decades.
I was going to say, pretty much ever since they came out. No.
Way back in the day, people were like, when they were starting like McDonald's and stuff, well, we need a mascot, right? Well, everybody loves clowns, right? Like clowns. And there are all these like Jack in the Box clowns, but like now, like you go out dressed like a clown. And any day that's not Thanksgiving, I'm sorry, any day that you can do it on Thanksgiving.
Right.
Any day that's not Halloween,
right.
And people will look at you like there is a child molester.
Well, I think that was it Emmett Kelly, the sort of like super sad clown from like the 70s, or would like sweep up the spotlight and stuff like that. Like he's the one that sort of ruined clowns, I think, for everybody because like
you mean it wasn't John Wayne? It wasn't John Wayne Gacy.
No,
he didn't ruin clowns. The guy was like stuffing dead kids into his like crawl space. He didn't ruin it.
Nah, like that's it. Like by then that's the kind of if you're going to a clown's house, it's on you. Like you're pretty much asking for it.
Yeah, I wonder if John Wayne Gacy ever. I mean, we're joking about a horrible, horrible crime, but
it's not like it's too soon though. It's been a while.
He used to dress up as a clown and then lure young boys back to his place and kill them. But like, I feel like now we've progressed so far that any young child who meets a clown and the clown says, "Hey, do you want to go back to my place?" Even the kid knows this is a bad idea.
Right. It's like, I'm 3 years old and I already know that you're a rapist.
Absolutely not. Exactly. I'd feel safer at the Neverland Ranch.
Well, it's almost like children are telling their kids, look, if a regular guy comes and asks you into his van or something like that, I'd say err on the side of caution and say no. But if it's a clown, definitely. Definitely no.
But like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it used to be a day where like clowns, everybody loved the clown, right? Bring in the clowns.
So, like, of course you go get in the clown's van. Like, why would you? Nothing but good times in there.
So I had a Clown Shoes Happy Feet Black IPA.
Indeed.
And I got to be honest, like, it's good if you are into, like, chocolatey beers, which I'm not. For me, it wasn't hoppy enough. Okay. It's got a little too much. It was a little too dark for me.
Too malty or whatever. Like, a little too malty or whatever. Like, I don't know what what you call the flavor profiles for that, but, if only we were experts.
If only we were experts at drinking.
Exactly. So
do you want to talk about like getting into fights with people on Twitter? Oh well, you know what? I have one too. You tell your story.
Oh well, it's funny, and this isn't a fight or anything like that. Like I think that one of the perils of the internet is that if anybody responds to you, you think that you assume that you have their full attention or something like that, which is totally not the case. Like probably a 3-second reply is meaningless. But like Chris Hardwick, host of At Midnight and Talking Dead and everything else on television.
And Chris Hardwick, you can say anything you want. I'm not going to say anything bad about because he runs a very extensive podcast empire.
No, I have no problem with Chris Hardwick. Like overall, I think like the only like issue that I take with him is how much he leans on the idea that he's a nerd. That like that his whole
Have you seen the girls that he dates?
Exactly. And so the other day he posted on Twitter a picture of himself like in a sort of like a Spider-Man tight T-shirt or something like that, and he's like, I have a Batman one as well, and but like he clearly works out a lot. He's thin, so he's wearing this like skin tight T-shirt and like looks like a handsome guy wearing a tight T-shirt. Like there's nothing about that makes you look at it and say like, oh, what a nerd.
Right.
Like he's a handsome dude, and like so I pointed out. I said like truly the sculpted body of a giant nerd or something like that, and like to which like he responded like something along the lines of, well, you should have seen me in 2003. Maybe you'd rethink your antiquated stereotypes then. So like which is weird because first of all I thought it was sort of a compliment, like in a weird way. I mean yeah I was sort of like needling him in a little in a way, which I'm sorry, it's what I do.
But also like Andrew, why are you bullying this poor nerd who has his own podcast empire and television shows?
Exactly, like bringing my antiquated stereotypes to to the table when and refusing to acknowledge that he is the biggest dork that ever lived.
That's totally going to bother him when he's like having sex with his 24-year-old girlfriend,
his cosplay girlfriend or whatever. But like so that and I think that there was actually a follow-up tweet that I had that and this is not even something that I'm not even like projecting this on myself or anything like that. Like I'm the world's biggest nerd, which who knows, I might be. I'm not. You're
pretty tall.
That's true. But like I think my point that I was trying to make with Chris Hardwick is that if you're like a super good-looking guy, like you can be sort of versed in nerd culture and you can be like an expert on it, but you're not really part of it. Like you're sort of you're an expert, not a veteran, like in a way where it's like you
did not serve. You're a historian.
Exactly. Yeah. Like you know what it's like from the outside, and you can be as fluent as you want in it, but like you haven't actually experienced it, I think. And like that's the only problem I have with him. Otherwise, I think he's great, and I think he's a good like, television host and all that.
Like Jimmy Dore was saying, like he hates the way that people throw around the word nerd. And I've talked to people who make a very, very specific distinction between nerd and geek.
Yeah.
And I don't really know what that is.
Whatever.
But I honestly have no idea why Chris Hardwick, you're basically saying, Chris, you're too good looking to be calling yourself a nerd all the time.
Yeah.
And he's like taking offense.
Exactly. Like how dare you? Like
right, exactly.
Like I am whatever I want to be, and like it's like, well, no, that's not the way words work.
No. Yeah, exactly.
like
I'm giving you a compliment, and you're making it seem like I'm insulting you.
Right. It's like if you called me out for starting something called like the Black Guy Network, like podcast network, and you said like, hey, by the way, like you're not black, like, and I was like, you and your antiquated stereotypes about what black people are.
It's like someone said like, your penis is too big, and you're like, how dare you limit the size of my penis to being very huge?
Right. Just because that's true doesn't mean I can't be the founding member of the Tiny Dick Club.
Right. I have one myself. I got into a Twitter fight. Okay.
I just came off of saying tiny dick, and then he said, I have one myself. So we'll try to edit that out.
Yeah, try not to take that out of context. So
what's your beef?
Do you know who Adam Baldwin is? Not Alec Baldwin, not like Stephen Baldwin, Adam Baldwin.
Adam Baldwin from My Bodyguard?
From My Bodyguard, he was in like, what is it, Firefly?
Yeah, he was in that show, sort of take off of Alias, like Craig or Chris.
He was also the really racist guy in Full Metal Jacket.
Oh, yeah.
So he mouthed off a couple weeks ago about something about gay marriage. And
he's like a hardcore Republican or something.
Yeah, hardcore, right? Like conservative Republican. Right. And he used that fucking horrible like argument. Well, if two guys can marry, what's stopping someone from marrying like a door or a chair? Because that's the way it goes, you know? Like
box turtle.
Right. And then like people started jumping all over him on Twitter. And then like out of nowhere, do you know who Nick Searcy is?
Yeah.
He's like this,
AKA Bucky Sinister, right?
No.
No, that's Chuck Searcy.
Chuck
I'm sorry.
Searcy.
Oh,
right.
okay. All right.
This guy's name's Nick Searcy. He plays like the chief in Justified.
Oh, okay. All right.
He's this older actor, but he's been in some comedy shows. He always plays the sort of like the old stodgy like white guy, you know.
Right.
And he jumps into this whole like Twitter feed and starts like standing up for Adam Baldwin, and he's like the way he's like putting people down is like, hey, you guys don't know what success is. Like, I'm a successful actor. Adam's a successful actor. Right. We make a lot of money, and like, you know, and I honestly was like, okay, this is not this old guy who's on this show. It's probably like Joe Mandy or some other jackass. And he's calling everybody losers and how they live in their parents' basement and all that stuff. And it was kind of funny, but like you could kind of tell he kind of meant it. I mean, it did feel. I mean, I'm still holding out hope that maybe he was doing this whole thing in tongue in cheek.
Right.
But I honestly thought like it was like someone else who was like running his Twitter feed. So anyway, I'm watching Justified the other night, 2:30 in the morning, and I just write on Twitter, watching Justified, but I can't stop thinking of what an asshat Nick Searcy is. And I tagged him. And then, like, 2:30 in the morning, this guy starts coming at me. This old man starts coming at me. And he's just like, oh, that's really going to bother me while I'm going to the bank to cash my huge checks.
You're going to the bank at 2:30 in the morning?
Right. And I was just like, wait a minute. And so I looked at his Twitter feed. And it's like, you know, it's him. Like, he's posting photos from the set. So I'm like, this old man wants to fight me at 2:30 in the morning.
This old coke-addled old man wants to come at me at 3 in the morning. Like,
and I'm skilled in the comedic art, so I am not going to, like, back down.
Right.
So I was like, okay, it's on. Let's just do this. So he's like, yeah, like, you know, I make all this money. And I was like, yeah, you better spend that money fast at your age, old man. And he's hitting me back, like, with like, oh, don't worry, I have plenty of people who love me that I can leave my money to. And I'm like, you think they love you? They only put up with your ass. And then it was just like this back and forth. And I went to bed that night thinking, this is my new thing. I am going to be fighting Chuck Searcy. Like, I'm not Chuck Searcy, Nick Searcy.
And Chuck Searcy. Like, let's bring in all the Searcys.
Like, every day that anytime during like the day, when I'm a little bored, I'll be like, why not? I'll fuck with Nick Searcy. And then I woke up the next morning to find that he had blocked me.
Oh, well.
So if anybody's out there and wants to get into a Twitter fight, Nick Searcy.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Go at that guy, you know? And
he can't block all of our fans. There's too many of them.
I find it to be like it's a badge of honor to me that Nick Searcy has blocked me. And I wear that. And if you haven't been blocked by Nick Searcy, what the fuck are you waiting for?
I like to imagine, like him awake at like 3 in the morning and his like wife rolling over and being like, and him being like, "Go do another liberal fun of something."
Some guy that I've never heard of is talking shit about me on the internet, just because I was acting like an asshat.
Put a cup of coffee on, woman. I'm going to be up all night responding to this turkey.
All right, you ready to take a break?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, I'm getting all hot and under the collar because I'm thinking about getting into Twitter fights.
All
right, this is SFBarkast at the Mad Dog in the Fog. Back at Mad Dog in the Fog.
Mad Dog in the Fog, indeed.
Andrew, we have a very special guest today.
We do.
This guest, actually, he spoke in front of City Hall.
He did. He was sort of the opposite of our previous guest, Nato Green's viewpoint.
Right.
He was bringing up the pro side of the tech movement.
And so for people who don't know, there's been like an enormous culture clash within San Francisco right now with the way the economics are like changing. Whereas like there's a lot of like young tech people moving in and rents are going up and you know, they're here for like all these like really good jobs.
Regular listeners have heard all about it. I mean, it's
and
just,
a lot of people getting squeezed out, like you said.
They kind of have a bad reputation, in the if you want to call it the hipster community or the middle class community of San Francisco.
Well, I feel like we're probably going to be one of the only podcasts to sort of let someone come on and talk about the other side of it.
We're all about equal time.
All about equal time.
Right.
So we want to welcome to the show Chad Zuckerkorn.
That's right. Hi, Chad Zuckerkorn. Thanks.
Chad, thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So you guys talked to that shill, NATO Green, earlier?
Yes, NATO Green. He's a friend of the show.
He's a leftist shill is what he is. I just want to let you know, he comes in here with his, all tech people are bad.
He's lived here for a long time. How long have you lived here, Chad?
I've lived here for a long time. I don't even think that's fair to say he's lived here, because I've been here for what? Maybe probably 100 days now? Like, that's over 3 months?
Wow.
Yeah, so I pretty much know the city like the back of my hand.
And are you having problems in San Francisco when you go out?
Yeah, I'm having some problems. I mean, I just feel like all the technophobia that's going on, all the technophobes are making it scary for me to go out of my house, It's like, well,
it's not your fault that you can afford like really expensive rent.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, so I go outside of my apartment every day and I see all these like homeless bum people with their signs. They're just sitting there doing nothing. It's like, learn Python, you assholes. Like, you're just sitting there doing nothing. And I don't understand why they can't just be like normal people. It's like, just do what I did, go to very expensive school, paid for by your parents, and just, spend most of the time not making friends and, major in computer science. I just feel like people want to like take the easy way out. That's why we have all these homeless people.
I feel.
Do you actually ride the like one of the tech buses that comes around the neighborhood?
Bus? I don't do that. I take Uber. Uber is pretty much what I do.
So even the Google tech bus is sort of for poor people, is what you're saying.
I mean, okay, so I just gotta say, like, the people that people are protesting against, like all these like Google bus people, like if you have to ride a bus to go to work, maybe you're fucking up, right? Like maybe.
That's a good point.
It's like, come on, like it's just poor people, like, protesting against other poor people. It's really funny to watch. I don't actually watch it. I usually have my driver to describe it out my window.
Go ahead.
So tell us about your job. Like,
I have a really good job.
I think that's the side that people rarely get. Is like they just like have this sort of like a blob of an idea of what they do.
We're all just amorphous, like, tech guy. We all do nothing, right?
They wouldn't even know you were a tech guy if you weren't wearing your Google Glass.
Right. They wouldn't know I was a tech guy if I wasn't wearing these Google Glass right now. Like, they would think that I'm just another guy.
I do find it really distracting that you keep obviously looking at scores and stuff like that while you're talking.
Listen, I don't like eye contact is overrated. Is the thing. Like right now, I feel like people want to like. You don't need to look at. I need to look at you to know who I'm talking to. You know what I'm saying? like right now, this is the reason that I make so much money. Is like right now, while I'm talking to you doing this podcast, I've just sent out 20 emails. I've sent out 2 press releases. And I've also just filed my taxes.
Wow.
By the way, the government's paying me this year because I work for myself.
So, but you tell us about the app you created.
Yeah. It is an app that me and my friend Horatio made that it basically customizes the results of a Google autofill. When you type something in Google,
okay, that sounds very
it
useful.
sends like autofill results. And me and my friend Horatio made it. It's called Autofillatio. It's like my friend Horatio lent his name to it because he was a brainchild, and I'm like, I just program it and like whatnot. But yeah,
and
so Autofillatio.
You just like threw his name together with autofill.
Yeah, autofill and Horatio. We're thinking about autofill Horatio, and it didn't sound good.
It
and
sounds
Autofillatio,
right.
It's like it rolls off the tongue really nicely. Really rolls off the tongue.
Right.
Autofillatio does.
And how's the autofillatio going?
It's hard, man. You know, it's hard to do. People think it's like easy to, you know, make apps and make programs, but it's like backbreaking work. You know, it's really like, it takes a lot of. I mean, I've kind of stretched myself thin doing this. You know, I spent a lot of time.
Is it free or do you pay for autofellatio?
Oh, well, I mean, the way we haven't yet monetized it because it's a personal thing. But right now, I mean, you know, it's we're figuring out ways to make some money off of it. You know, we're looking at angel investors, and you know, we've got a few autofillating partners who join us in the whole autofellatio goal. I mean, we're close.
So do you have sort of like a Soma office or something like that where everybody gets together and does autofellatio?
Yeah. We all get together, in this office south of Market, and we all just like, you know, it's hard work. You got to keep your head down and keep trying. That's the thing about autofellatio. It's just like.
How many segways are in the company? Like,
what's that?
How many segways are in the company, like roughly?
We all have a Segway, but it's we really just do it to just like ride around. We got about 10. There's about 10 employees, all riding Segways at the same time, and it's a pretty fun work environment, you know.
So, Chad, aside from that, do you like living in San Francisco?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's like this is my home, you know? This is like the place where this is the place where I hang my hat, my very expensive, it's a Google hat. It's a new hat. You probably don't know about it. It's something that some people at Google created.
What does the Google hat do?
Oh, it pretty much reads your brainwaves and kind of like basically you can use mind control to get all your Google results.
That sounds horribly dangerous, actually.
Well, it's only dangerous if you got something to hide, bro.
That's true, I guess. Yeah, you're right. I never thought of it that way.
I'm just saying, you know, that's like guilty people, you know, they have something to hide. They don't want to use Facebook. They don't want to use Google. They want to be off the grid. Yeah, you know who else is off the grid? Criminals.
Gary Busey.
Yeah, drug dealers like Gary Busey, Fidel Castro.
All you have to do is compare anything to Gary Busey, and like it just kills the whole point.
And what neighborhood in San Francisco do you live in?
I live in the Mission.
And
it's beautiful. Oh, it's such a beautiful neighborhood.
Do you have any idea who lived in your apartment before you?
Well, yeah, I met them.
On the way out?
Yeah, on the way out. And they were, I don't know, there's like a Mexican family. They were pretty nice. I don't know. They're yelling at me a lot. But, I mean, here's the thing. It's like Cry Me a River, right? Because, like, if you can't pay rent, then you don't get to live in places. Like, since when has it been okay for people to not pay rent? That's what I say. I mean,
you've got a good point. Yeah, I mean, that's flawless logic as far as I.
Like, all of a sudden, like, you know, people are protesting because, like, it's so sad. This old lady is being kicked out of her apartment because, the landlord's turning into a condo.
She should get a job like you.
Right. First of all, maybe don't spend all your time in your apartment, and just get out of my future condo, and I can get a job. Because like people are complaining about her being homeless, but what do you think I was before I moved in there? I was pretty much homeless.
Does being in a fraternity count as homeless?
Yeah, I think so. Because it's like it's just listen. They let me stay at the A Pie house. Sometimes, and while I was looking for a place, and once I found a place, and all I had to do was wait for it to be converted into a condo, and then I moved right in there, baby.
I'm gonna assume without asking that you either went to Stanford or Duke, correct?
Oh well, I mean,
or did you go to both?
I don't want to brag, but I went to Harvard, and I went to Stanford.
Did you actually attend either one, or you just went there?
Oh, no, I didn't go to school.
Oh, okay.
I thought you meant, have I visited a college campus before? Yeah, I visited a lot of college campuses.
I've taken so many tours, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, they're really nice.
You look like you're about 20 years old.
Yeah, no, actually, I'm 13. This is the weird thing about it.
Wow.
Like, people can't tell because I have this cool mustache, but I'm actually only 13 years old.
Wonderkind is what they call it.
Yeah, Wunderkind. That's right. Yeah, that's correct.
All right, so let's wrap this up.
Oh, and what does your dad own?
What does my dad own?
Yeah. I'm just assuming that your father owns something cool.
Well, I mean, he's got a pretty cool Lamborghini. Like, you mean like what kind of company does he own?
Yeah, just where you got your springboard from? Like,
well, I don't know. He doesn't really do much. My grandfather owns a lot of land and.
In the Cayman Islands?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's got a
Georgia,
house. He's got a lot of houses, but like honestly,
plantations, that kind of thing.
Listen, yeah, maybe in the past my family owned people. Okay, I get it.
It used to be legal.
The recent past or the?
Well, I mean, I don't want to really go there for legal reasons, but I feel like that's a loaded question, bro. Because here's the thing. Yeah, so maybe I come from money. Yeah, so maybe my kids will come from money. Yeah, so maybe people who come from money like to make it harder for other people who don't come from money to get money. Oh, I lost my train of thought. The point is
let's
that
take it back to auto.
I wish I could autofillate right now so that I could know what to think.
Well, that would work. I mean, that's a good,
but you
good
know what?
use for it.
You guys, you can laugh at me now. That's fine. I don't care. But
I think you misunderstood this entirely. We're on your side, buddy.
Good. Because in a few months, when we're all auto-filleting each other, it's honestly it's gonna be a different world. I will have changed the world, and then people will be like, "Who are the two best tech people ever lived? Mark Zuckerberg and Chad Zuckercorn." That's what they'll say.
And I just want to let you know that at SF Barkast, we are totally on. We support the tech community.
Yeah, good. All right. Well, somebody has to, other than the government and the local government.
We had Nato Green spotted as a weirdo from day one. That guy didn't make any sense to us.
Which guy? Oh,
Nato.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, all this union, this blah blah, honestly, middle class, etc., etc.
It's leftist garbage. I call them victocrats because they're all victim Democrats. You know what I mean? Because it's they're always pretending that they're victimized when really it's just you victimize yourself when you're poor.
He wants to get rid of capitalism so that he can suck off the tea to the system.
Exactly. I don't want to have capitalism. Let's make all money illegal and let's only deal in trades. It's it's just a bunch of bullshit from uneducated people who've never had a higher education like I have.
Move back to Russia, NATO.
Yeah, seriously.
So we want to thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah.
And I want to wish you luck with the autofellatio. I feel like you're going to really corner the market on autofellatio.
Honestly, I am so close to success. I can taste it, And
taste the what?
I can taste the success.
Oh yeah.
It's
of autofellatio.
Yeah. Oh, and it's salty and sweet.
What's his name? Robert Carradine. You could get him as a spokesperson or something like that. Or was that just hanging, right? Robert Carradine or not Robert Carradine.
I don't understand your reference, man. I'm 13.
Wait, it's because my reference was terrible because I was referencing the guy from Revenge of the Nerds when I should have been referencing David Carradine, who was Kung Fu.
From Kung Fu, right?
You know what? This is Revenge of the Nerds. This whole city is nerds getting
coming
revenge.
Back. Yeah.
We're coming back for you, motherfuckers. For all you people who pantsed us when we were younger, all you people who fucked with us and called us names and fucking didn't let us go to parties. Well, guess what? We're having our own party.
If you're 13 years old, though, that didn't really happen to you at all, did it?
No, not to me. But
I
mean, I've always had good solid core people, but I know it happens.
Okay.
And so really, I'm the oppressed.
True.
It is. You are the oppressed.
Yeah.
Even though you're 13 years old and legally shouldn't be in this bar at all, we thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
but you know what? He could buy this bar.
I own this bar. That's the thing.
All this time.
This entire time, I own all of it.
You bought it on the way in, right?
Yeah, on the way in, I said, they looked at me, they saw I had Google Glass on, they're like, oh, it's yours.
Sweet.
They know I own it. And all you guys are my Uber drivers. All of you.
All right, so I want to thank you for being on. And once again, I want to reiterate that at SF Barkast, we support the tech community. And do you have any cocaine?
Oh, yeah, I got a guy.
Okay, all right, so we're going to take a break now.
Okay.
And then me and this 13-year-old are going to go to the men's room.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Okay.
All right, this is SF Barkast. We'll be back.
Sunday's down on a brand new day.
The Salem's gone up in flashing light. Countless millions whisked away. At last we have more room to play. All systems go and kill the poor tonight. Gotta kill, 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 kill the poor. Kill, 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 kill the poor. Kill, 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 kill the poor tonight. You know the sparkle of champagne. The crime rates start to free again. A life's of the reason you must live right.
All right, and we are back at Mad Dog in the Fog.
Mad
It
Dog
is
in the Fog.
substantially louder than it was when we first started. And we want to welcome our other guest, Matt Lee,
Hey, how
to
you
the
guys
show.
doing?
Matt,
Hey, Matt.
who is a comedian in San Francisco.
Yeah.
You run a show with Kate Willett.
Yeah, I run a show with Kate Willett and Matt Lube called The Mission Position at Lost Weekend Video. And that's every Thursday at 8.
Wait, did you say Matt Lube?
Matt Lube, L-O-U-B.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, not Matt Lube.
not Matt Lieb.
No, yeah, there's a Matt Lieb and there's a Matt Lube.
Really?
Yeah. We're actually going to start our own show called Lube It or Leave It.
That's funny. I'm going to a party tonight at kink.com,
Oh, nice.
and I just assume I'm going to see these huge barrels full of lube.
Just a bunch of, like, a crate of dildos, a barrel of lube. Yeah.
It's like a bulldozed pile in the corner. Like sort of just
If you run a porn empire,
Yeah.
you have to buy in bulk, right?
Yeah, you do. I wonder if there's like a porn Costco where you just like you can go and get wholesale porn items. You're trying to buy individual dildos. That's an expensive game, man.
Dude, when I was like driving across the country, one time I was in Tennessee and came around this like hill and saw this huge like porn mega store.
Yeah.
Like it looked like a super Walmart.
Like a
of
Walmart
porn.
for porn.
It's
Like, can you imagine?
Jesus like floating above it and like heavenly lights and everything. Or like
And it's just like, yeah, clean up on aisles 13, 12, and 33.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
clean up on aisle my face.
Yeah.
So, Matt, you run a show at the Cinecave.
Yeah, the Cinecave.
Is it called?
It's called Mission Position.
Uh-huh.
I also run a show at Milk Bar once a month. It's a punk rock comedy game show called Where Eagles Dare with Ryan Papazian and Jeff Anaya. And it's the only comedy show in the world with a mosh pit.
You had me at punk rock comedy game show.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Have
pretty
you
fun.
actually verified around the world that this doesn't exist?
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, I've looked on the internet. I've asked friends. I've said, have you ever heard of a comedy show with a mosh pit? And they're like, no, I've never seen it.
That would really suck if you found one that was exactly like your
I
mosh
honestly
pit
would just
comedy.
quit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you would be
Does
like,
the mosh pit like is it active based on what's going on stage, or is it just like go for it?
No, it's based on what's going on stage. Between comics, we play, you know, music to intro them, and we just start moshing. The thing is, it's usually just us three, me, Ryan, and Jeff, and then the guest. We're usually the only ones moshing, and then there's a bunch of audience members just looking on, confused and horrified.
Seems like a really difficult environment to do crowd work in. Like,
Yeah, it's
hey, where are you from? Oh, you got kicked in the face. You know?
Yeah, it's hard to do crowd work when the crowd wants to kick your ass.
yeah.
But it's really fun.
Yeah, when you're getting a Doc Martin to the groin, it's hard to sort of focus in on your
Right.
material.
Yeah, it really is. But
Oh, you're
it's-
from Cleveland? Fuck Cleveland! Kill that guy!
Exactly. It's pretty fun.
Hey, that guy who was just on here, like,
Yeah, what was
kind
that?
of a jerk
What was
storm.
that
He, like, stormed
13-year-old? Yeah, some 13-year-old was in the bar and he was just like yelling a bunch of stuff about Mexicans. What's
Well,
that?
after he like called everyone his Uber driver, he just like picked one person and said like, drive me to like the fucking marina right
Yeah,
now.
and then when he left the bar, he just hopped into some guy's car, and that was not an Uber.
Dude, I went to the men's room with him, and he just gave me the most stepped-on cocaine I've ever had.
Oh, that sucks. Yeah, he looked like one of those guys that rip you off.
That's too bad.
But for 13, I mean, you know, he must be
Yeah.
doing pretty well. He had Google Glass on.
You got to assume the 20 and 30-year-old ones are like a lot more mature. So like, yeah,
Yeah.
they're probably cool people.
Yeah, I guess he's got a lot of growing up to do, I suppose.
Oh,
Exactly. Well, he's only been here for 100 days, so.
Oh, yeah.
But you know, he feels like he's really at home in
I like
in
to
the
think
mission.
that society will get all of them back eventually.
Yeah. all those days back.
Everyone that wronged me, basically.
Oh yeah.
You know, and even those that didn't, or I just think would.
So Matt, when are those shows? When is that like comedy?
Comedy Mosh Pit. Where Eagles Dare will be on the 4th Tuesday. The 4th Tuesday of this month.
Is it a monthly?
It is a monthly. I'm going to get the date out for you guys.
I think this is the noisiest episode since the recently closed in the Mission tranny bar.
Oh, Esta Noche?
Esta Noche, yeah. Like, we battled noise then. We have a better audio setup now, but I feel like I'm everything I say seems to have a lot more importance because I'm shouting it. You know,
so is this podcast going to work? Because we're just yelling.
I think it will.
Yeah, it'll work.
Yeah.
It totally will.
April 22nd at Milk Bar at 8 o'clock. It's free. Where Eagles Dare.
Come on, free mosh pit? Are you kidding?
Yeah, free mosh pit. There's a prize wheel, and we call it the wheel of shit. We spin it, and then it lands on different options for the comedian to do.
It'd be great if just all the options were shit.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you got shit again.
We got push-up contest. We got arm wrestle interview. We got mosh, of course. One of them is the comedian gets to pick someone from the audience and say, all right, why don't you do stand-up, motherfucker? And the audience member comes up and has to do 30 seconds of stand-up.
Wow.
And then one of the options, the very smallest one, is end show. And that's if the wheel lands on that, we just end the show. We just leave.
See you later. It's like a mic drop?
Yeah, well, we just play, the spring from the Four Seasons, that one classical music song, and then we just walk away.
So if anyone wanted to know what it would be like if Gigi Allen did comedy,
right?
Check it out.
It's like a Gigi Allen comedy
like
show.
full contact comedy.
Yeah.
Right, like, you don't like my joke? I'm gonna shit on the stage.
Yeah. It's more like if Glenn Danzig and Henry Rollins got together and started a comedy show.
Oh my God, that'd be terrible.
If Glenn
Or at least the Henry
Danzig
Rollins part would be terrible.
stood on top of like Henry Rollins' shoulders,
Yeah.
they'd look like a normal person.
Yeah,
The
right.
height,
It's like an overcoat.
normal human height. They can finally get into a movie theater for a rated R movie.
Let me see your stomach. That's Henry Rollins' face.
Yeah.
So do you pick this bar, Matt? What do you like about this bar?
I like that there's a lot of TVs with sports on.
Yep.
I enjoy the sports. I'm an NBA basketball fan. I also live right down the street. So
That's usually the case.
So that helps.
It's usually the case. Like everything else, the proximity thing can cancel out all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Where it's like, yeah, this is my favorite bar.
It's full of
Because I
date
live
rapists,
there.
but it's right next door.
Yeah. Pretty much everyone is mean to me here, but it's super close. I just like this bar. It's a nice bar.
And Matt, you're one of the guests that we've had that you do not drink.
I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I'm boring.
Wow, what is that like?
Well, it's like every day is a gift, bro.
Well, is it because you woke up like with your pants down in a bust up men's room, or you just never liked it?
No, it's pretty much the first one.
Okay.
I used to do a lot of drugs and a lot of drinking, and then eventually I was like, I could either do this full time or I could stop. And by full time, I meant like I could either be a homeless dude or I could be a guy who's normal. So I decided to be a normal, sober dude.
Well,
I
normal
hope
is
that choice works out.
Yeah, it's worked better than the other choice. Last time I did
You don't know
drugs,
that.
I can say with a lot of certainty. Just because last time I did drugs, I put a turkey baster in my butthole.
Whoa,
Yeah.
yeah. You know what? Maybe
Right.
the drug thing isn't for you.
Yeah, seriously, that's how you know you're fucking up.
Sounds like Folsom Street Fair is for you.
Yeah. And I found out you can put turkey basters in your butt, just don't have drugs in them, and then you'll have a good time.
Now, have you brought this up before the San Francisco city supervisors? Or
I've not told them about their turkey baster issues. and
There's
how-
got to be a relevant bill that could come, where it's like a turkey baster story is relevant.
They should keep those away from children, is what I'm
Yeah, first of all, think
yeah.
of the children, think of the turkeys,
I'm just
think of
glad.
Thanksgiving.
I'm glad that you shared that with us because I feel like if you have that story, it's not something you volunteer like at Thanksgiving
No,
or
not-
in front of like family.
Well, definitely not, especially since I put that turkey baster back in the drawer afterwards. No, I cleaned it.
Oh, good. I mean, you're not an animal.
Cleaned it with my asshole. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad. Yeah, it turned out that drugs and me were not working out together. It was not a fruitful relationship. And so I just decided to stop. So now I'm like, I got like 4.5 years of just being a boring person.
Good for you.
Nothing
No,
wrong.
I applaud you.
Thank you.
Is it hard for you to be in a bar or in a comedy club?
No, that's the thing. Alcohol is never really my issue.
Right.
So like, I never really liked drinking. I only liked drinking when I didn't have any drugs left. So I liked opiates. You guys ever do opiates?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are bad, man.
Yeah, they are.
Those
They're
will get you on
super
the
addictive
road.
too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Like,
Did
so
you-
are
did
these
you
like
start, like-
morphine opiate? Like,
Yeah,
what
morphine
kind of opiate?
was my it was morphine and Dilaudid and heroin. Yeah, let's talk about it.
Wow. Well, no,
Yeah, I'm kind of a badass. Is the thing.
the progression of the degression that everybody talks about is
Yeah.
they get hurt and they get some oxycodone,
Right.
and then their prescription runs out.
Right.
And then they're like, oh, so now I got to go get some heroin.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the way it goes.
It happens a lot. People will they'll be introduced to it, either that way or they have Vicodin and realize that they really like Vicodin. Like me, I just went after it in high school. I was like, I'm just gonna do this because all the rich kids at my school. I went to a public school. We had a music magnet that attracted some rich families. They're like, oh, I want our kids to go to school and learn music. And they always had these cool Coke parties that I'd hear about. And I was never invited because I wasn't cool. And
You suppose that was part of what drew people to send their kids there? They were like, I've heard this place has the best music Coke parties.
yeah, pretty much.
Like, we're sending our kids there.
I like how you're
That's
like-
the life that I hope for my child. Yeah.
I like how you're like, I wasn't cool enough to sit around and do a bunch of stepped on coke.
Right, yeah, I wasn't. And so I was like, fuck that. Me and my fucking scumbag friends are just going to be heroin addicts. So that's what we did. And that was definitely a good choice. That worked out for everybody involved except for the dead ones.
It's always great to meet somebody that comes out the other side of that because, I mean,
Yeah.
it's probably 50-50 that, you're either
I look at it.
semi-functioning human being or you're kind of not.
I look at it a little bit as a failure, because I have some friends who are still going strong, and I'm like, man, they really figured out a way to be okay with barely functioning, and so I'm like, I'm a quitter to them.
It's really, it always comes down to a sort of money issue, doesn't it? I mean,
Well-
we were talking about Tom Petty or something like that being a 40-year heroin addict or something like that. It's because he's never run out of money. It's like.
The thing is the money issue comes into play if you're always buying stuff from the street. But I don't know if you guys know this, but if you have health insurance and you can convince a doctor of things, you can just get drugs. They'll just give you drugs.
What are these things that you can convince them of?
Well,
Back pain is probably a good
back
one.
pain was
Yeah,
one, migraines, stuff like that. Even better, if you can get a job at a doctor's office and get a triplicate prescription pad, you can just write your own prescription.
Oh my God! Have you ever seen the movie Jesus' Son?
No.
The two of the characters, one of the characters does a lot of drugs, and then he gets a job in an emergency room.
Oh, yeah.
And he realizes the other what do you call them? They're not nurses, but they're people who
Interns or
kind of interns
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the emergency room. Everybody there is high on speed, and they're hitting all the prescription drugs they can get their hands on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing about prescription drugs is that you can get them not from a drug dealer, and it's it's only illegal if they catch you.
Don't you feel like that is that's how people get brought into it though? Because a lot of people are like,
Oh, yeah,
a doctor gave me this.
Right, yeah.
This isn't. I didn't buy this from a smelly guy in the street.
Something like a harder burden of proof, I guess, against the cops. If you already have a prescription for something and you're getting it, then they have to go the extra mile to show that you don't have a back problem, whatever,
Yeah,
rather
right.
than just
They
catch
can't
you in the
prove-
street
They
and be
can't
like,
prove you wrong. They
Right.
can't be like, you don't need this. It's like,
Right.
no, That's the thing. But yeah, so I was doing that for a while, and it turns out if you have an endless supply of drugs and you're a drug addict, you go through a lot of health issues. So I just had a lot of health issues.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, isn't that weird? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, weird.
So it turns out it doesn't matter how many drugs you have, still gonna run into problems. So eventually I
True
just
enough.
stopped.
Well, I'm glad you came out the other side.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know you then, but I like you now.
Yeah.
How about that?
I was pretty much the same, but a lot sleepier.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and less reliable.
Yeah.
Like I was only 15 minutes late for this.
Right.
And
I'd have been like a year late. Yeah.
Fuck, I remember you. Didn't I promise to do something for you?
And I probably would have stolen this Zoom recorder and then sold it. But whatever. Fine.
That'd be the worst end to a podcast ever. It's like,
we talked about this
got on this
last.
heroin addict and he stole all of our shit.
We talked about this last week on the Barcast that like my hometown is having a real heroin problem. They have.
Are you from Vermont?
No, I'm from Massachusetts.
Okay.
Same difference.
It's like the same state.
Right. And
From New England.
like when I started reading all this stuff that's happening in Taunton, as far I was like, you know what? That's nothing like I remember from the movie Trainspotting.
Yeah, right.
Like Trainspotting made it seem so cool.
No, yeah.
You know, like when he's like diving into the toilet to get the heroin.
Right, yeah,
So
right.
cool.
No, yeah. It made it seem like a cool, badass punk rock thing to do. It turns out it's just it's a lot of resting. It's a lot of resting and not making out with girls and not taking a shit for like a week.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it does look better when Obi-Wan Kenobi's doing it.
Yeah, he looks way cool when he's doing it. Yeah. It's not as glamorous as it looks.
All right.
On that note,
So do you want to
Yeah,
like
let's
wrap
get-
this up?
I like getting dark. It's fun.
exactly.
All right, wait. We have another guest. Kevin, do you want to tell us what you saw on the way over here?
All
Kevin
right.
Montgomery, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. If anyone's wondering, I was a person randomly shouting into the microphone periodically. On the
this
way
is what-
over,
6-time guest Kevin Montgomery.
yeah, I've been here a lot.
Take
Usually
that,
just-
Joe Gorman.
In fact, this is the second time we've had a sighting like this. What I saw today on the way over was Mark Zuckerberg, if you don't know, the founder of
Not
Facebook.
Chad Zuckercorn.
But Mark Zuckerberg being shotgun chauffeured in a black Tesla by a black driver.
You know why? Because he's a man of the people.
He is.
You know?
I bet he doesn't know that driver's name.
Yeah.
$1 million.
But he's just rich enough to be chauffeured, but just humble enough to be shotgun chauffeured.
He's just like us. He puts
Just humble
on.
enough for it to be a black guy.
He's not going to be in the back seat. No, wait, who is
No.
he, Larry Ellison?
Yeah, exactly.
He wears a hoodie to work, man. He wears a hoodie.
He said,
if he could
Don't-
like,
Rad, dude.
if he could like skateboard behind it on a string, he would, but he can't.
He would sketch that chauffeured vehicle.
Dude, he probably told the driver, "Don't treat me any different. I put on my hoodie one arm at a time, just like everybody else."
American hero, Mark Zuckerberg.
All right, so what's our final analysis, Phil Giovannu, of this bar? Do you like this bar, Andrew?
You know what? I like it, but like I think I liked it a little bit before it was remodeled, a little bit more. But
A little
like,
too
but that
clean
doesn't
for
really
you?
make sense. You know what? Like it's the kind of thing you can't really complain about because they kind of had to do it. Like the neighborhood was gentrifying around them, so it's like you can either sell the bar or like remodel it to like suit. And I
Right.
think that's what they did.
What did it look like before?
It was just a lot more dingy. Like it was just like
Yeah.
it was.
It wasn't as clean.
I don't think the brick wall was here. It was just like wood, green, dirty, a little bit like
Smelly, shitty. There's puke on the floor.
disgusting.
Dead people.
Yeah,
Ewan McGregor shooting heroin in the
Exactly.
bathtub.
piles of shit everywhere. Like,
Yeah.
And Matt, what do you think of this bar?
I like this bar. I just like that it's a sports bar, but it doesn't feel douchey. It's like a non-douchey sports bar.
Although-
It's hard to find.
Although you know it feels Euro.
What?
It feels Euro.
It
It's not.
does
It's not
feel-
American douchey.
it doesn't feel as Euro as it used to for me though. I think the remodel sort of like cleaned out some of the Euros.
I don't know, how do you get rid of the Euros? You put up a no smoking sign in the
Probably,
front? Or
like,
How do you get rid of the Euros? You let the Greeks join the European Union. That's how you do it.
Yeah. This guy knows what I'm talking about.
This guy knows. Any Greeks?
Any
No?
Crimeans in the house?
Any Malaccas? No Malaccas.
And Kevin, what do you think of this bar?
I don't have high opinions.
Okay.
So I should say I love sports bars if there's a sports game I specifically want to watch, but I would never like come into this place like just because I like wanted to grab a drink with a friend.
Oh yeah.
So again, oh yeah, I really want to see that Giants Dodgers game. I would come here, but otherwise
I think like as far as like beer selection goes,
good beer,
yeah,
they got good beer selection
and a slightly different beer selection than Tornado had. Like Tornado's just all about craft beer, super expensive. Barley wine,
your Bud Light, your Shock Top, your Coors.
Exactly.
And they've got like they have a full kitchen here, so you can get some chicken wings.
You know what?
or
I
something
should
like
also
that.
say, like, not many sports bars, especially in this city, with a patio. So I gotta give it some bonus points for that.
Exactly.
So maybe my initial assessment was a little harsh. Like, I feel like as a sports bar goes, this is definitely one of the better.
You're
ones.
backing off your opinion from 2 minutes ago, literally.
Yeah.
Kevin Montgomery, he knows when he's been wrong.
Yeah. I'm big enough to admit that, like, as far as sports car goes,
Did I say
sports
Leland
bars
Yee
go,
was
this is one of the
guilty?
better.
All right, so Matt Lieb, I want to thank you for being on the show and for coming on the show. Here is your copy of Almost Awesome, Chris Tinkle's comedy album.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
Did you ever think you'd have that?
You know, I never thought I would actually.
Would you like another one? Because we've got like.
I'll just have this one, and I'll give
How
it.
many coasters do you need?
Hey, you know what? Chris Tinkle, funny guy.
Are you tired of having rings on your wooden tables?
Yeah, is that?
Chris Tinkle's CD is here to help.
Oh, I thought that was one of his jokes. I was like, this sounds like a Chris Tinkle bit.
That's the thing. Like Chris, stayed with me last time he was in town, and he's left me an enormous amount of his albums.
Nice.
And if he had said to me, Jeff, would you like my comedy album? I would be like, Chris, of course, you're a friend of mine. I would love to have your comedy album. But if he said, would you like to have 26 copies of my comedy album? I'd probably be like, yeah, I don't know about that.
I think I want that.
So, guess what everybody in my family's getting for Christmas this year?
I'd be like, here, let me show you where I keep my comedy albums. I keep one of them here and 25 in the trash.
You gave me one of these the other night, and I was like, oh, I'll give it a listen. Like, this is Jeff's friend. They don't make computers with CD drives anymore. I was literally opened it, and I was like, wait a minute, I can't put this into my MacBook Air.
There's no digital download?
As you mentioned, the wrapper is now in the trash, and the CD currently has a Ducati on top of it.
Well, hopefully
I'm
next
sure
time.
he'd just be happy that his work is out there.
Well, hopefully next time Tinkle comes to town, he'll be like, hey, would you like a bunch of these thumb drives with my fucking material on it?
Actually, next time Chris comes down, he's probably going to be like, I got to go see Jeff about all those fucking CDs that I gave him that he apparently threw in the trash like a dick.
The next time he sees me, he's going to be like, I heard you talking shit about my comedy album on your fucking podcast.
What do you mean talking shit? It's thoroughly absorbent.
So, to bring this a little SF too, my favorite episode of Full House is the episode where Uncle Joey or whatever. What was the musician idiot?
Shit. What was his name?
I never watched that show.
The guy in the creepy uncle in the basement,
the guy that does
a
a terrible Popeye impression.
But
and all
yeah,
that
he
shit,
went to Aniba Records or
Cool,
whatever record store they made up in San Francisco and bought every single copy so it would sell out and chart local charts. He just goes around trying to give out his CD to everyone. This is a full episode of Full House, and I feel like this guy is creepy dude in the basement for Full House, but he's doing it to you.
Hey, you know what? I know you called Chris Tinkle a creepy guy in the basement, but I just want to let you know he does not live in a basement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay?
Sorry.
He's a creepy guy in a nice apartment. Right. That's what he is. Next time he wants to sell his album, what he should do is just hand out a card with his Spotify premium password and just give that to everyone. Use my Spotify and listen to my album.
Listen to my album. Here's my HBO Go.
When you think about it, what you said, Alyssa said, is totally true. There's a lot of things you can't play the CD on anymore. So he's basically leaving me trash. I don't mean the content, because I know Chris is a very funny guy. But he's leaving me stuff that he can't use.
Yeah. This is the AOL sign-up disc of our generation.
Yeah. Just the Chris Tinkle album.
I was there was somebody's joke was that the phone book at this point, they just drop they're here's a small portion of the internet for you to throw away.
Right, yeah.
It's yeah, okay, thanks.
John Mulaney, I think.
I think, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
All right.
Are you ready? All right, this is it. Matt Lee, once again, thank you very much.
Thanks
Kevin
so much.
Montgomery, thank you so much for coming on.
Indeed.
I'm Jeff Tillery,
I'm Andrew Louder.
and we'll see you next time on SF Barkast.